mean, you probably all know about the newspapers being in trouble, but Viacom has been losing money. NBC itself is in third place. Without knowing for sure, I would say they just didn't see 2 years ago when they launched this and pulled this amazing advisory board together that it was worth putting a lot of dollars into this thing to pump it up, especially in a world where there was no Barack Obama in the White House. They just, I mean, I'm impressed that they did it in the first place, personally. But sure. And you know, when Disney made sure everybody in America learned that we really now knew how to go to the moon, he wasn't just doing that because he loved to champion science, which he did. He was doing it because he wanted to get people to go to Disneyland, and go to Tomorrowland, and pay him, you know, X number of dollars to go there. But it's win-win. I don't mind people making money if they're serving a public good. That's corporate social responsibility.
I'm not against making money either.
I know you are. I know. So, we have these resources. We also have, one time this year, something very unique. 70 years ago, the movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington had its premiere in Washington, D.C. Scared a lot of people in Washington because it told the truth. And there were people who thought the movie was almost like a communist conspiracy, and they tried to buy the movie from the people who had made it so it would never be seen. But the owners resisted, and of course today it's a great American classic. But this fall, on the 70th anniversary, we can, at a minimal, talk up the fact that we are at the 70th anniversary. Or, if we really get lucky, the Jimmy Stewart Museum in his hometown of Indiana, Pennsylvania, is looking for ways to celebrate this movie. And I actually love Jimmy Stewart so much that I've been a member for a while. And I told him I'd love to wave a magic wand and get this thing shown in Washington on the 70th anniversary. And they wrote me a letter saying, if you can do it, you know, we'll be with you. But I don't know how to do it yet. So, but you got an entertainment connection. Not trying to put you on the spot. So, you know, there are things every year. There are anniversaries, and you can hook. You can use them as hooks. And then we just talked about it's okay to make money if you're also helping society. Well, there is this movement, the corporate social responsibility movement, and especially at the UN, where they know that corporate social responsibility is a journey. And when you're a company that wants to be a good citizen, it doesn't mean you're perfect on day one. You've got stuff to learn. And because they're diplomats, they don't beat up their company participants because they're not doing everything right. They focus on the things they're doing well, and they help them slowly learn what they need to know in order to do things better. Is it a perfect initiative? No. But it is the positive positive motivation model. Instead of what I call improvement at the point of a gun, where you say, you be good or else you go to jail, this is, you be good and we'll help you be better. Because we're going to make this an educational process. And so they created this performance model and published a book in 2004 that describes it. And Chris, what you may or may not know is that there's a lot of Malcolm Baldrige in the Global Compact's so we have that as a place to find businesses that want to do good. Oh, and by the way, last December, General Electric joined the Global Compact. So now we've got them officially saying they want to do good. So maybe they'll decide to do good by giving sci-fi visions for tomorrow a little boost. Within corporate social responsibility, there was a journal published that talked about not just being good to the environment, but being good on issues of war and peace. You look like a man who has to hit the road.
Take off. It was nice meeting you guys, and I'll see you guys next time around.
5 minutes to 3, and I appreciate the time.
Bye, guys.
Take care, Ben. So, believe it or not, in the corners of this do-good part of the business world, they're starting to talk about issues of war and peace. partner with the sustainable development people who are developing the science side, like Amory Lovins and Bill McDonough. I heard Muriel talk about Bill McDonough. So they are leaders, I think, would be in favor of an economic system that supports their technology being adopted, because it gives us that better world. And here is a brief clip of Bill talking about the mindset of this.
From a personal perspective, when my mother called me after the magazine article in Time magazine came out, and it said we had developed a unified theory that in demonstrable and practical ways was changing the design of the world. And she called up and said, "What have you been doing?" And I've been working with Michael and a whole bunch of other people. That's what I've been doing.
Humankind is facing a deadline. Can we change our industrial world? Can we move fast enough to avoid catastrophe? Will our creativity be equal to the task? This is the story of a revolution. How Bill McDonough and Michael Brant and the people and companies they work with are building the sustainable economy.
If we look at Peter Senge at the Sloan School of Management, where he asked leaders who is the leader on a ship crossing the ocean, the answers he gets, as you can imagine, are captain and navigator and helmsman and so on. But his response is no, it's the designer of the ship, because you could be the best captain in the world, but if the ship isn't designed to be seaworthy and you find yourself in a storm, you're going down. Then designers must become leaders, and leaders must become designers. Imagine the first industrial revolution as a design assignment. I'd be asking you to create a system that puts billions of pounds of highly hazardous toxic material into your soil, air, and water. It measures prosperity by how much natural capital you can cut down, dig up, bury, burn, or otherwise destroy. It measures progress by your number of smokestacks, and if you're especially proud, put your names on them. It measures productivity by how few people are working. It requires thousands of complex regulations to keep you from killing each other too quickly. It destroys biological and cultural diversity at every turn. And while you're at it, do a few things that are so highly toxic, like nuclear isotopes, that require thousands of generations to maintain constant vigilance while living in terror. Can you do this for me?
Thomas Jefferson.
I think I'll stop there. The whole notion of what we have as being a specific design, it may be an accident, it may not. The challenge we face is to get control over this notion of design, of thinking like a designer, and use that power, which is to look at what are the principles being used to make things happen. Are we in a world designed to be on land, or are we in a world designed to be on water? And if we'd rather be on water, can we redesign ourselves so that we can survive in water and have fun in water? That's design thinking. That's not what's being used regrettably by people like Klaus Schwab and probably not even Paul Volcker, because they're economists. Economists are not designers. Architects are designers, engineers are designers, software people, perhaps I don't know software people well enough. But I'm just thinking there are disciplines that don't cross into the economic world, but they can. We can. And what is the big picture system that needs to be redesigned? Well, it's how humanity relates to itself. And this is when George Bush was president. You may have seen this joke. There was a G8 summit, and Bush and Putin met, and they were quite testy with each other. And the joke was, in our continuing effort to counteract global warming, we have decided to bring back the Cold War. So, we're one global community, one human family. How would we ideally like to live together? Well, the UN has been busy in other ways other than talking to the business world. They are the Millennium Development Goals, which aim to make the world more balanced and equitable. And then there's a lesser known but very potent initiative called the Decade of Education for Sustainable Development. You can imagine why I like it so much. It's about teaching people how to do what they want to do. Not just saying, let's do it, and then we stumble along for 10 years because we've never gotten into the theory and we've never seen the whole notion of design thinking, for example. So there is something running until 2014, the decade of education for sustainable development,